What's up, Chief Kingdom? Today we are breaking down on one of the smartest and richest strategies in the NFL. Why the Kansas City Chiefs are betting big in their young talent instead of going all on expensive free agents. We look at how this move is shaping the team future, what it means for stars like Mohammed and Kaizer, and whether this is house development strategy can actually keep case on top. Plus, we'll compare what would happen if Chief took a different path and start spending big road. You don't want to miss this breakdown. Let's dive in. Please join us by subscribing. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell, then like the video. Kaizer Chiefs sporting director Moutang Jr. has explained why the club has been released most of their talent players on loan this season. Currently with the registered squad of 38 players, Chiefs have unloaded out Samkelo Zwan and Hap Mushian to Siwalele FC this season, just a few weeks before the transfer window closed. Amakus, outgoing coach Nazir Nabi, had hinted that they would love to see the numbers of reduced as he wanted to work with a similar squad. However, aimed with experience from previous season, Moutang believe that this is the best way to handle this. Chiefs also have experience of loaning out players and they are utilized according to the club. They have loaned them out to players like Don James was loaned out of Supersport United last season and only featured in 3 matches throughout the season before being dropped down to their reserve team. Moutang say the experience has led them having a different approach in developing their young talent. Let me quote him. We have a very clear plan in terms of the young players who come in board and really impress during preseason. It is sometimes better to retain their youngsters in the same environment. Well, you see, they still get minutes in DDC together with training with the first team. Sometimes this is better strategy than loaning a player for the sake of loaning players. With Chief also campaigning in CAF Confederation Cup this season and involved in 3 more domestic competition, a large squad become essential due to the demanding travel schedule and light future program. CAF allows teams to register up to 40 players. As Chief edge close to group stage of the CAF Confederation Cup, which will only be the second time they reach this stage in the interclub competition, Moutang say they were very strategic this season in recruiting not only quality and experienced player, but also those who have played at this level. Players like Lebohang Maboy, Paseko Mark, and Thabiso Manyon have experienced in the CAF Champions League knockout stage. Chief brought a new 11 players this season, and so far they have only used 5 of them due to various reasons, including injuries, legal issues, and adaptability. There is strong feeling that this could be the best recruitment phase of Kaizer Chiefs since 2012, also testament of the great work of the club head scouting and recruitment Tembele Rera Maliwa. So Moutang explained the idea behind their recruitment plan. It has always been about creating cohesion in player group. For our side, there were specific positions we wanted to reinforce given our assessment for the last season. You can never solve all problems in one transfer window, but we have made meaningful trades in terms of bringing the technical quality. The next 5-year plan is for us to complete on all fronts and not just domestical. So that is what he said. So why Chief keep young players? First is salary cap constraint in balancing big contract. The Chiefs have locked up their high-profile veterans Patrick Mohammed, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, etc. Those contracts take up large portion of the salary cap. To be able to afford those while still feeding on competitive roster, they need cost-controlled players. Young players on contracts on extension deals are much cheaper. Also drafted the development model. The front office under GM Bet Vage emphasized drafting while developing young talent and integrating them into the team. These players often become stars sooner than later, contributing meaningful while still a relatively expensive contract. Number 3 is a roster depth on continuity. Returning young players give the Chief depth and helping maintain continuity in the roster. These players already know the system, the culture, the coaches, and can slide into roles when injury hits or when veteran contracts become untenable. Trust in young talent helps to avoid having the scramble for replacement. Number 4 is opportunity cost and risk in free agent. Buying established talent in the opening market is expensive both in actual dollar and in risk. Injuries fit with scheme, etc. Developing your own players lower that risk because you know what you are getting to a degree from their college record, from how they perform in your system, and from their work habits. Long-term sustainability. By investing in young players, the Chief ensures that when contracts of veterans expire or when players retire, their internal replacement is ready. That help maintain competitiveness without having to overpay or compromises on position if needed. Performance from young talent. The young players have already shown they can contribute at high level. Guys like Trenty Mdufie, Nick Bolton, George have stepped L. When those players perform well, it reinforces the value in developing them. So what keeping young talent in-house gain you? Cost efficient and cap flexibility. Young players, especially those on cook contract, are far cheaper and the contract are more controllable. That gives a team flexibility to spend on a few star veteran, extend those players when they hit their prime and still stay under the salary cap. Also, depth internal replacements. If a young player has been a system that know the terminology, system, culture, and coaching, when someone gets injured or leaves, internal options are more plug and play, less shock to team chemistry. Continuity and culture. Players' development in a system are more likely to buy into the culture, be loyal, understand expectation that reduce frustration in roster, turnover, helping in leadership development. Reduce risk in some ways, free agent some with a risky uncertain fit possible, decline higher guaranteed money you might be stick with young players, give you more control. You see them in your practice, training, you shape your growth. So what you might lose, the challenges, instant impact, start power. Sometimes free agent bring elevate player immediately, elite pass rushers, proven offensive linemen. Young players may need time to mature if team is trying to win now. The gap might show. Limited by draft hit development ability. The rare in drafting, scouting, coaching, and etc. Being able to develop in crucial. If you miss in the draft or young players don't pan out, you paid the price. Teams and overray in development sometimes suffer if a few picks flop or injury hits. Also can spark later. Young players who perform well general expect big raise or new deals, so keeping many successful young players eventually lead to large salary. Their abilities, if you don't balance the roster, you may have too many big contracts coming due to measures creating constrained future flexibility. Also competition from free agent talent. Sometimes you need to bring outside talent to address holes you couldn't draft, rehab, and coach, maybe in path rush, maybe in line help, etc. If you never do that, you can have weak spots. So, how other teams balance the mix, example, and comparison. Known for excellent drafting plus strong coaching, plus smart free agent addition. They often use free agent to supplement, not replace. They call young talent, they give them high performance and avoid blow cap space to L. Also, Titans, Ravens, etc. Similar strong, long history of building through draft development, acquiring cost control talent, and only when necessary going after free agent for specific needs rather than across the board. So the teams manage risk by having strategy for when to spend big, example in premium position, while ensuring the base of the roster is sustainable. So how to compare with the Chief situation in particular? The Chief star Patrick Mohamed, Chris Jones, etc. occupy large cap space, pushing them toward needing more cheap, productive young players so they can balance the book. So they also restructure contract of stars players in terms of free up room because they have high floor expectation to compete for championship. They need mix star talent plus young supporting cast. They can't afford rebuild, so this in-house strategy helps continuity. So let's see these good and quality players, young talent for Kaizer Chiefs, and this is side of their advantage and their disadvantage. Guys, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, then enjoy this video.